Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Wednesday. Good morning, John. Good morning to Mark. Good morning, actually, to Patrick and Rusty over on Rumble. Good morning to Patrick in here. There's your good morning, Patrick. Good morning to Kevin Hawthorne. Good morning, Mark. Thank you for spending your day off. I hope you have a wonderful day off. Yeah, it got close. It got close, Patrick. Greenspan's irrational exuberance. Remember that 96? Was that 96 if I'm remembering correctly? I remember that. I was already beating the get rid of the Fed bandwagon. All right. Yeah, we got close with but they don't again. They have the dual mandate, which they haven't really done a good job on the inflation side. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Royal Palms. Yes, we can go over the percent beat buy criteria again. Good morning, David. Hello, Charles. Good morning, Ted. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. What does it look like today? Well, today we have a very quiet day. We had the mortgage stuff coming out, building permits, home sales are coming out at 10 Eastern. Crude numbers for crude, and I'll reveal because we did get a percent beat buy yesterday in crude. It's followed through. And we have daily speaking this afternoon. But very quiet day. Remember, tomorrow really picks it up with jobless claims and GDP. What's it looking like this morning? We have Amazon, Wells Fargo upgraded Amazon after it hit the first target on the double top, that is. But a little bounce off an upgrade there. Oracle down slightly, but all the other mega caps are up after we got some momentum bars yesterday. Did you spot it? That was the only way. Again, I said I'd do anything to the short side. We did get some momentum bars, but that's not holding any shorts. Again, do not hold shorts yet. Besides hedges, we don't have a major topping pattern yet. Good morning, Anissa. So let's just refresh this. Consumers, everything except defensive is up. Consumer cyclical and energy leading. Well, crude is up also. How did we did we did on a CL1? Do you know how you handle a percent B with such a big tail? Did you go for the momentum move on a front run? I'll show you crude from yesterday, and I'll show you what the aggressive stop is, and then you can work it out for yourself. So we still have a cut for October and another cut for December. Nothing's changed there. Fear and greed, still in greed mode. Chiller PEO, we're just dropped below 40 again. Oh no, cheap market, cheap. It's below 40, buy it all. KB Homes this afternoon, but really nothing. Really nothing. CarMax tomorrow, and remember, bigger one is Costco tomorrow afternoon. But very light earnings week. Next week goes into heavy earnings week. Thanks, MJ, and we'll cover it in here. Thank you for posting it again. Welcome. Thank you for being here, MJ. All right. Also, little thing, we closed below the rotation zone yesterday. Now, my minor breakdown level is about 67.13, 67.14 today. More significant is 67.02 area. Right now, we're just edging up sort of a little correction. I don't know if we're going to get any major moves today to the downside with GDP coming out tomorrow. The key line in the sand for me, though, is 67.36 on a closing basis. Anywhere between 67.30, roughly 67.30 and 67.36, I'll be watching for a potential rollover play. But again, that's scalping. If we break out with some momentum, my target will be 67.36. We close above that, 67.42, and then the breakdown zone from yesterday. What does this look like on the daily? Yes, we're still overextended from we haven't even reconnected with the daily rotation zone. A one-day sell-off. But this can give us a nice, especially if we don't take out this high area, gives us a really nice pausing bar. So that would be a really nice pausing bar then, which would give us nice targets for an upside. If we were to break out tomorrow, 67.75 and 67.93 are the next key targets up there. Again, this is why I can't get drastically short. We did, again, with momentum bars yesterday, momentum bars, little consolidation, then momentum bars, making a beautiful, beautiful, I'll say it one more time, beautiful double bottom. All right, beautiful double bottom. If you want to know if there's any room left to the upside, there's slight, but that just takes us into the 50, just above that 50% into the rollovers. And that's why if we do break out, I'm still watching for a potential rollover up in here. So, beautiful double bottom. NASDAQ, you also, the momentum bars yesterday. This was a sloppier pattern with these little spikes down in here, but this one also completely played out. You see right there. So the NASDAQ played out. The NASDAQ has also, on the bounce play, gotten between the 50 and the 62.5. All right. And it's actually triggered a little mini double top. So my key line in the sand for the NASDAQ, I'll still watch for rollover stuff unless we get above 24,934. Or we break above 24,911 with momentum that then takes out 24,934. By the way, if we do break down again, I'm not even watching for full targets on this. I'm watching for a key support zone between 24,850 to about 24,855. We can take a look at ZB futures. I'm really just trading off the yields right now. Dow, key resistance, this is 46, 718, 725 area. We get above that. If we do get above that, same thing, looking for these little these little retracements. There's no double here. That was not okay. If we do really break above this little area, I'm looking for 46,800 in the Dow. Other than that, I mean, we see, I'm not even covering downside targets because it's just coming into key support. I'll just go jump back. I mean, if we do break down again, my key major level, covered the minor levels, is 6690 to 6700. And in the NASDAQ, if we do break down and take out yesterday's low, we have a 24,750 and then major support coming in at 24,700. The Dow, if we do take out yesterday's low, I'm looking closer to 46,475 area. The Russell, we still barely have a double top. It did not take out 25.11, but it still need the close against the rotation zone below 24.83 right now in the Russell intraday. If we break down below 24.75, we're into a minor clear path move with a full target of about 24.62. We break above 24.83. The first target is 24.95. Those are the only way I get on a little bigger pullback, but it is against the daily rotation zone, is below 24.48. The VIX yesterday on the 1 hour triggered this little mini double bottom. Just going to watch for some potential still upside because this is triggered on the 1 hour. Just going to watch for some more upside price action in the VIX. So could we see some more selling, especially tomorrow? Yeah, we could. But again, there's just the most significant topping pattern against the rotation zone is in the Russell, because everything else will just be back in the daily rotation zone. DAX, still finding 23,850, 855 areas key resistance. That's the only, again, nothing's changed there. Again, the notes still have a double top playing out. And here's the yield, still have a double bottom playing out. Little pullback yesterday and a rising back up today. If you're looking at the ZB yesterday, here's your criteria for the percent B buy again. high-low close divided by 3. If you can't do that, just use the close. Length of 5, standard deviation of 1. Okay? It has to drop below 0 and then reverse, and it has to close above the high. So this, you could do something intraday. I'll do breakouts intraday, or I'll look at crude also. I'll do patterns intraday, but it has to sustain above the close. So the close here was 116.19. The high here, sorry, 116.19. The close was 116.19. So did that close above the high? No, it did not. It closed at the high. That is not a trigger. If I see that, I'm out. Okay? Those are the most conservative rules. The other things I will do is if we get a 2-day close or a close above the price, there's a whole bunch of other rules that I'm giving the most conservative rules. You need a close. So the high here, 116.19. The close, 116.19. Not an official percent B buy. It would need to close at 116.19 and a half. All right. If you look at crude, let's jump to crude. Crude on a long tail, see, here was my little thing. We got back down. Again, I was watching, and I put this out in the newsletter this weekend. I was watching for buys in this area against key support. This was not a double, but we came right down just below that, setting up a 4-hour percent B buy, and then we got momentum. Again, once we took out this little high area, once we took out that high area, it was fine for me to look to enter it, and then it has to follow through with this. Now, for an aggressive stop, the stop technically is below the low. The lowest of either the entry bar, the day that set up the percent B buy, or the day before. It's whatever low is lowest. The conservative stop is below that low. The aggressive stop is below on a close below the 62.5. So if we look here, if we take this long leg, the aggressive stop would be a close below 62.5 or a trade below the 75. You just need a trade below, so that'd be a 61.96 stop or a close below 62.13. Now, as this ratchets up, especially I talked yesterday, target 63.95. We're through that now. My next target, 64.50 to 64.55. And it's also raising a trailing stop. Now, would I let it pull all the way back to 62.5? No. If it started taking out this high area, if we had a strong reversal, let's say with the EIA numbers, especially that being the 50%, I'll give it a little room. But if we start breaking down through there, if you want to give it a little more room, and again, if you've taken some profits off, you still have the cushion in there to do the 62.5 stop. If you want to be a little more aggressive, you set your stop right around break even, which is also 50% harmonic. If you want to get really aggressive on your stop, which is fair because we're still in a consolidation pattern, a really aggressive play would be a stop back below about 63.75. Again, it depends on how you want to manage your trade, period. But this is the stuff, because I will use more aggressive stops when we're in a big consolidation pattern. If we're breaking out of consolidation or we have massive momentum, I'll give it a little more room. But again, especially up here, once we hit this key area around 64.50, I would get more aggressive with the stop. Doesn't mean you have to take everything off, but I get more aggressive with the trailing stop. Does that answer your question? Well, if you're not using the set close, then you're in it. Then that's fine. If you're not using the settlement close, okay? If you're not using the settlement close, then you're in it, and you know where the stop is. Again, I'll do that sometimes, especially with things that are in a strong bull market. Bonds, not so much. But again, if you're not using settlement close, that's fair. You're in it then, Christoph. If you're using the settlement close, you're not. Okay, and this is why I hate some of these weird friggin' settlements. Natty gas, by the way, still just a little bounce. We got the separating rotation zone, so still watching for rollover plays in natty gas, especially to the roll gap fill. Crude, we already covered. What else did I miss? Gold, little gap down. Again, trend still up. If we do break below this 37.90, it's back closer to rotation zone and the lows from overnight on Monday. All right. You're welcome, MJ. What else? What else have I missed? FCX is some production cut news, pretty negative, and I thought American copper would do well. Well, it's set up. Oh, I didn't cover copper yet. Duh. Here we go. By the way, silver. If you're short term, you can just watch. This is more of a sideways correction. I just watch for anything close below the 4-hour rotation zone. Copper does have a little mini. I'm now looking potentially for the breakout play here. The breakout play here. Okay. Remember, it's still long from that percent beat buy. However, watching for this little mini, unless this double triggers and it is valid, and is that a major sell? No, that's just a pullback into the consolidation area. But watching for a break, we're getting start separation in the rotation zone. It really needs to take out, then that would invalidate the double. If we get above, if we get above 4.76, it's invalidated the double. And the target area I'm looking at, it's somewhat constrained here. What's interesting is if you have a prior breakdown level right at that double invalidation point, but you break above there, I'm looking closer to about 4.95. By the way, platinum, this may never trigger, but it does have a massive potential weekly double top. Just wanted to point that out. Again, trend is still up. So from a longer term, if you're playing this major breakout, if you did get a close, before this is validated, if you got a close below 1271 and platinum, would not be in bull mode anymore. Dollar index is very interesting. Look at the weekly. We still got buying pressure. We still do have a massive weekly double bottom. Again, so many people are short the dollar. Here you go. We had the double top playing out to the targets. We had a sloppy double bottom. Again, sloppy, but playing out. I said I was watching for more upside in this after the little pullback, which we played out. And now we're back taking out this highs well above 97.20 again. Okay, if we hold this area, I'm watching for key targets right about 97.95 and then 98.21. Can't stay more sustained bullish, though, unless we get a close above 98.30. This is still into a massive consolidation pattern, but something's definitely shifting with the dollar index. I use the settlement close, except for some stuff that has really weird settlements. Gold sometimes, metals sometimes have really weird settlements. Especially if I'm already in bull mode, I'll err to the tick close versus the settlement close because it's got some really weird settlements. That's a point of call. Officially, it was tested off of settlements. Okay? Officially, it was tested off of settlements. With stuff like that have really weird settlements, like copper can have really weird settlements. Gold can have some weird settlements. Silver can have some weird settlements. Sometimes, if we get big moves in the future, in the equity futures, they can, but not often. Good morning, Heinrich. Yeah, we will see what happens to the dollar index. Again, there's still downward pressure, but it's so lopsided. It is so lopsided with everything is bearish. You should see the positioning on the dollar. The pain trade is actually up in the dollar. And you may wonder, well, why is this is reversing? This is reversing this big move, this potential double. It might never play out, and I'm not counting on that playing out. I'm just watching for, again, this upward moves puts pain on it, and we get rising yields still. Euro, really watching. We're breaking below the trend line, really watching if we get below this 117.20 area. Again, is that a massive short yet? No, because we're going into a lot of key support, but something could be changing here also. All right. Yen. Here you go. Watching for this to sustain. To see if we can get a breakout in the yen. All right, we're breaking above some key closing and reverse opening resistance. We have to sustain above. That's why I'm interested to see how the yen finishes today and if it can turn this 148.50 area into support. There is also a percent B buy here on the yen. Again, it would have had to be, if you're waiting for some of these on closes and it closes too far away, you have to wait for a pullback. Spiders, again, little gap up today. So on any rollover, 663.21 to the gap fill and key support coming in at 661.75 to 662 there. You did not have a double or anything up here. You see it bounced off the harmonic. So now this longer term harmonic is re-anchored to this. I'll re-anchor it up here if we do get a longer pausing bar. But if you break out above, especially Monday's high, 668.64. Qs. Again, slight gap up, so on any rollover, 598.20. The breakdown would only be below roughly yesterday's low around 597, but then you have still a very key support level right around 595. Next target to upside is 605.18 if you take out Monday's high. Yeah, Monday's high. Bitcoin, little bounce here. This would be a percent B buy if it can close above yesterday's high for a bounce play only. I'm still watching for rollover plays, but you could get a nice little bounce off of that. It hasn't even taken out the high yet. Ethereum, we do have a little minor double bottom against the first separation rotation zone. So that would need to close above 42.33. What else? We have Amazon, which we covered yesterday. I know there was a request for corn. Amazon, which is getting a slight gap up on a Wells Fargo upgrade. This would have been entered intraday. If it's not entered, it already hit the first target. So, again, if it bounces even more into the rotation zone, I'd be watching for a rollover play still. Corn. Where's my corn? There we go. Corn futures. That was the old double top. Right now, what are we looking like in corn? On the overall, I mean, there's still a upward bias in this. So I'd still be looking for, again, you got the rotation zone. It's got to now take out about 429, 430. The problem is it's really tight if you're not already long here. I would not be looking for longs if we start closing back below the rotation zone, especially below the 50 also. This was a roll gap, by the way. Key target area is between the 50 and 62.5 in the short term, about 443. What else? What else did I miss? What else? What else? Tesla, not yet at the 87.5. Little reversal yesterday. See if they can juice it again or not. Again, there's not a strong topping pattern here just yet. Nvidia, back in consolidation. Inside bar yesterday. Nothing's really changed. You still do have the sloppy weekly double. Very sloppy, by the way. Broadcom, there is actually, we're at cycle daily lows, and we might have a %B buy set up for today on a break above yesterday's high. Holding the rotation zone also. Going to be keeping a close eye on that one. Again, the stop here would be below yesterday's low. So, UNH. On the bigger picture, we had it's still long from the massive double. You do have a little minor. May not ever trigger. Remember, it's just a key area. It's not even there yet. It might set up a double top pattern, but that's a great area then for a stop on short-term trades, not on the overall big weekly double. You had a 1 hour double bottom play out yesterday. Let's take a look. I wasn't looking at it on the 1 hour. Yeah, there was a 1 hour double bottom right here. Still reversing that. And you got a little minor 1 hour potential double top for any further trailing. Other than that, that's where we sit there. You're welcome, MJ. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. I will see everybody for unemployment and GDP Thursday, and we will talk to everyone tomorrow. Bye for now.